evening to avoid.
And to provide those in need of shelter during the following dip in temperatures are now both closed to new admissions. As of 5 p.m. today, a new warming center has opened at Metro Hall on John Street, just north of Wellington. In addition, there are warming sites also available on Spadina Road, Elizabeth Street, Holmes Avenue, and on Scarborough Golf Club Road. In the event someone arrives at a center to find it already at capacity, the city will assist with transportation to a different warming center that has space available. With conditions falling as winter officially begins, let's now check in with weather specialist Noor Rafat on what we can expect going forward. Noor?
Hey, thanks very much, Catherine. Well, you can expect things to look wintry the coming days. Today and yesterday, it was that Arctic air that gave us that chill in the air. Tomorrow, it's going to be a wintry system making its way into Ontario, and it will cause quite the ruckus, especially around areas that are seeing these snow warnings, 5 to 20 centimeters of snow through the course of your Monday. Some of that at 2 to 3 centimeters per hour. Areas around northern Durham region, Mississauga, Toronto, Barrie into Waterloo. 10 to 15 centimeters, and snowfall rates potentially not as fast as we're seeing in those areas in white. Now, we are already starting to see the first bit of that system moving in here in Sault Ste. Marie, and by tomorrow morning, it'll swallow that region. Much of the Waterloo area around Barrie will be seeing that activity into the morning as well, and by the evening, here it is taking over southwestern, southern, and eastern Ontario, even past that point, pushing into Quebec. This is something that could linger into the early morning hours of Christmas Eve as well. So we'll talk totals expected in the full forecast. For now, expect to keep those shovels handy. Anyone else feel cold just by looking at this map? It's a cold one out there, especially when you factor in the wind chill, but we've been seeing the direction of those winds shift in the past few hours, and that will make the overnight a little bit more forgiving. A little bit. By that, I mean a wind chill of around -13 in Toronto tonight. And by tomorrow, take a look at this. Temperatures already on the climb. +1 your high by 5 p.m. Wet snow for the rest of your evening. Kat?
Thanks, Noor. High Lifeline Canada put on their annual toy. Time now to check in on the long-range weather forecast, and weather specialist Noor Rafat joins us here at the desk. And Noor, a lot of the weather is up in the air across the country, but there is something to celebrate: the winter solstice.
Yes, I know that's a nice sign for many, because although many count it as the arrival of winter, we know the meteorological start of winter was earlier this month. But with the winter solstice specifically, that means we're going to start to see more daylight, a minute of daylight every day. And soon enough, we'll have those sunsets at 8 like we used to back in the day.
Count me in.
Let's take a look at how your week is shaping up. Sunrise at 7:49 a.m. in Toronto today. I know it may not seem like much, but those minutes do eventually add up as the months go by, and we see a lot more of that sunshine. We are seeing also a lot more of these milder conditions. Notice the direction of the winds blowing from the south, at times the southeast, especially in the morning hours. That's a friendly direction that will bring those temperatures up. And we are seeing, though, those periods of heavy snow starting into the evening hours and pushing through your overnight. The Arctic air has been gripping much of Quebec at this point, parts of Labrador and parts of the Maritimes as well. Tomorrow we start to see a bit of a shift as more of that Arctic air tracks east, still lingering into areas like Ottawa, but not so much the case in Toronto. You can see what's going on in Calgary. Their chances of seeing a white Christmas dwindling by the day thanks to these incredibly mild conditions that they've been seeing, and a lot of thawing the past few days and heading into Christmas as well. Here is that polar jet bringing that Arctic air to parts of Ontario, Quebec, Atlantic Canada, as I mentioned, and the subtropical ushering in some mild conditions into parts of the prairies today and in the coming days. We are expecting that snow to arrive, as I mentioned, southern Ontario into the evening hours, and it will linger into areas like Kingston, Ottawa, into the early morning hours of Christmas Eve. We were anticipating a mix of rain and snow as well. Kind of worried about where that will land. Right now, it does look like it may be heading towards the Fort Erie region, Niagara Falls, as we head into the overnight hours towards Christmas Eve. You can see by the afternoon of Christmas Eve there are some sunny breaks. That system mainly has moved out, and Wednesday morning, Christmas Day, there could be a few periods of snow into the early morning hours in areas like Toronto. These are just initial estimates, but we could be looking at 8 centimeters by the time your Christmas Eve comes to a close. 11 towards Sault Ste. Marie, and the areas that you're seeing in pink nearing the Ottawa region, upwards of 20 centimeters. It does get tricky, as I mentioned, because of how these temperatures are changing. Now we are around the freezing mark, areas like Milton, above the freezing mark a tad bit in areas like Toronto and in Niagara Falls. So tricky, hard to say what's going to happen, but certainly 8 centimeters of snow, probably welcome by many that want to see that snow on Christmas. Temperatures continue to be mild as we head into the weekend. 6 degrees for your Sunday with some rain.